with microservice, not server. I was thinking, guys, as we're chatting, have a little discussion after each talk. If the next speaker, so Pedro, you're up next.
Yeah.
So when we're just having a wee discussion after this talk, if you can get your slides set up, it keeps things, keeps things moving. Thanks very much.
There you go.
Oh, I fucking wish. Reminds me why I come to work every day. It's a goal. I feel like this is going to end up being, I'm going to try not to make this into just like a rant. It's more of a view and opinion perhaps. I'm not going to go into too much depth about how we resolve it or anything like that. I'm just going to try and cover it at a pretty high level really. So yeah, the talk's called Microservice, not Microserver. And it's really talking about the principle that we've moved to a new way of coding, but that's brought with it its own problems. So obviously we're probably all pretty much worried about the old way. We just have one system, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, the old monolithic code base. And obviously, so to get that into production, it's fairly simple. Just chuck in a couple of servers, build pipeline, throw a load balancer in front of it, and that's fairly simplified, but hey presto, you're good to go. And obviously that's quite nice to manage in some sense. You've got one code base, one build pipeline, one auto scaling group. It's all fairly simple infrastructure. And obviously we've moved away from that, and we've gone to sort of the new way where we've moved to modularizing this monolithic code base. So we take microservices, try and pull out that business logic away from the code base, make it smaller, make it more manageable, make it easier for everybody. So what's actually the problem with doing that? Because obviously so far so good. And I think a lot of that's from what I've learned from HX, is that the problem really is that, so as we move these microservices away, they bring with them their own issue. My experience with microservices so far is that we still think in the old way, so we still treat these microservices like they're the old monolithic code base. So if we build ourselves a microservice, we've split it out, the code base is really nice, and then we treat it like it's the old sort of infrastructure. So we immediately go and bolt a build pipeline onto this microserver. We build a server in, load balance it, and then this is before we've talked about anything else that we have to do for this infrastructure. So immediately you can see the issue. You've split out your code base into these beautiful microservices which are really manageable, but you're still thinking about infrastructure in the old way. And obviously, so you've traded one problem for another. All of a sudden you've got brilliant code, but your infrastructure's grown exponentially, which is sort of partially what's happened here at HX. And like I said, this is before you even talked about sort of firewalls, backups, failovers, domains that you might need to bring these microservices together. So what's the solution to the problem? The solution from my point of view is to try and think about infrastructure in a different way. Does your microservice really need to have its own server? Not really. Chances are you can probably add multiple microservices into a single server. Don't necessarily need one server per microservice. This is where I didn't add in the bit that you were going to recommend, but it's these days it's really easy to add multiple processes onto one server. We do that anyway. There are modules out there. I'm not going to recommend any, but there are modules out there that do it. Go and have a look if you're interested. The other side of this is that take control of your infrastructure. Kind of a lot of what you say, Simon, automate all the things you can. We've got things like Chef, which will make things easier. You've got things like Docker, where you can just ship your whole app up. Just if you need to have that extra infrastructure, leverage the tools that are out there and make that infrastructure easier to manage. And other than that, do you really, really need a server for your microservice? So there's various times whilst working here at Holiday Extras that I've seen people write microservices immediately they've gone into that infrastructure mind where they've gone, right, I'm going to build a microserver, it's going to do this, and it's going to have some endpoints. Because it's got endpoints, I need a server, so I'm going to program it so it needs to be bolted to a server. It's like completely the wrong way to approach it. You know, really, really ask yourself, if you've got a server that's up and running already, that's serving your API,